What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be doing a comparison between the 2021 Chevy Bolt and the all-new 2022 Chevy Bolt. Let's get into it. So a couple quick notes before we get started. The 2021 we're looking at is an LT, so that's the lower trim of the two on 2021. Over here on the 2022, this is a 2LT. It replaces the Premier as the top trim for 2022. So kind of think of it like base model, top trim, even though they're both LT technically. So there'll be some features here on the 2LT that you just straight up won't have over here on the LT, but I wanted to use this video more as kind of a visual differences between the two, where the redesigns really took place, and then talk about some of the features that they did strip out in 2022 that you could have gotten in 2021 on the EV. A lot of those features actually went to the Bolt EUV. If you're interested in a video on that, I've got a couple, so definitely check the card above. So let's go ahead and get started. Now they both have the same motor up under the hood here. It provides 200 horsepower, 266 pound-feet of torque. You have an EPA estimated 259 miles per full charge on both of these models, but obviously that will differ depending on your driving style and conditions. Now, as far as the front of the vehicle goes, this is where I think you'll really notice the redesign that took place between the two model years. Over on the 2021, you have two of these faux grille or like plastic accent pieces. One on the very front of the lip where the bow tie is. You have your standard kind of gold Chevy bow tie on this one. Little bit of a different shaped front end as well. Then you have a body colored piece that splits, and then you have that other little faux grille piece that I talked about in some other videos, and then some nice ground effects there at the bottom. Now, as far as the headlight design goes on the 2021, you have just a kind of very simple headlight design. You have LED daytime running lights, LED taillights, and you have high intensity discharge actual headlights and brights themselves. Now again, the big things to keep in mind for 2021, gold bow tie, two of these plastic accent pieces, and high intensity discharge headlights and a different shaped cluster. But moving over to 2022, you can see that they did a lot of design differences here. First off, you have a black Chevy bow tie as opposed to the gold one. You have just a single one of these kind of faux grille pieces or these little plastic accent pieces instead of having the split design. You still have a body colored piece that covers most of this, but you do have some nice accents on it. Now, these headlights are very distinctive and a huge design change from 2021, obviously, as you can tell. They're kind of this two-part sculpted headlight, but they're all connected with this piece here, whereas on the EUV, they're actually disconnected. So keep that in mind. You have LED daytime running lights here with a sequential turn signal, and then you've got standard LED headlights as well. You also have LED taillights in the back, which we'll take a look at in just a second. Now, another difference you may notice here on the 2022 is we have a front-facing camera that works with your HD surround vision camera system, and that is just because we're looking at a 2LT here versus an LT here on the 2021. Also, you'll notice that the standard kind of glossy ground effects kind of got replaced with this plastic cladding here up underneath. You do have a little active cooling down here for the battery and things like that. It's a very clean, updated design here on 2022. I much prefer this more angular kind of Blazer Camaro-esque look, where some people may prefer the 2021 here. My view of it is I think the 2021 is a little bit more on the nerdier side, or the little bit more, reserved side, whereas the 2022 here is very aggressive with this sculpted headlight design. But really, it's up to what you guys prefer. Definitely let me know in the comments which one of these front ends that you like better. Now, another interesting thing you may have noticed here, if you've got a keen eye, is that over on the 2021, you have this Bolt EV badging on both sides of the front of the hood here. Over on 2022, you have nothing. It's just a black piece that kind of connects the headlight design to kind of the A-pillar here and the sloping design of the windows. You do not have any badging, Bolt EV badging here on the front end. You do on the tailgate, but that entire piece right here has been removed. They both have kind of the same big front windshield, kind of sloping windshield here. Same kind of design over on the A-pillars here with this little extra window for better visibility. It looks basically identical. Same charging ports with the same connector, the J1772 adapter. all that kind of stuff is the same. Now, over on 2022, you actually have a 65 kilowatt battery, whereas over on 2021, you have a 66 kilowatt hour battery. So that's the only main difference. It's just that 1 kilowatt hour between the batteries, but you still are estimated to get the same range on these two vehicles. Now they both sit on 17-inch wheels. Over on the 2021, since this is a lower trim level, you just have the aluminum painted wheels, whereas on 2022 here, since this is the 2LT, you've got the two-tone alloy wheels here, which I think look way, way, way better. So I actually just bought a 2022 EUV, the larger version of this, and mine has the aluminum painted wheels like this one. I'm just not a big fan of it. I prefer the two-tone alloy wheels, but you guys let me know in the comments which ones you prefer. Moving on back, you have these same black mirror caps here. These are heated side mirrors. Actually, you have blind spot monitoring on the 1LT over here, whereas on the 2LT here, you do have blind spot, but you're not going to get that on the lower trim level 1LT over on 2022. So a little interesting addition there. Moving on back, you have the same keyless access with a little silver button that you can push to lock and unlock your doors. As far as body lines, they are very, very similar in their design. There's some subtle differences here and there, but as far as kind of the shape of the windows and the trim that goes around them, it all remains basically exactly the same. One other thing they did do is take away the silver accent that's at the bottom of the door panels. Over in 2022, it's just black plastic cladding. So again, that's another preference type thing of which you prefer. So let's talk about charging really quick. In 2021, it was just becoming a standard feature to have the DC fast charging option available. In 2022, you do have that. Now, as far as charging speeds, they really didn't change much for 2022. They upped the level of home charging that you can actually accomplish with a level 2 charger, but that's really the only difference. You still have the same 55 kilowatt hour DC fast charging. All they really did was up that charging capacity when you're on the level 2 charger at home. So one thing to keep in mind is that with the 2022 EVs and EUVs, they came out with a dual level charging system. Now what this is just a little box that has adapters coming off of it, so you can plug in a 110 volt outlet if you want to charge on your standard plug, but you also have the option for a 240 volt outlet. If you have one already installed, you can go ahead and plug into that. Now the EV here does not come standard with that dual level charger. It just comes with a standard 110 volt charger. So to get that, you're going to have to add it on as an option, even on the top trim level, which is, it's kind of dumb. I think they should have just given you that straight off the bat. Now the EUV comes standard with that dual level charger, so my car has that. And GM is also running a promotion on the EVs and the EUVs for 2022 that through the end of this month, which is June 2021, you will be able to have a company come out and install a 240 volt outlet in your garage for free, which is absolutely awesome that they're doing this promotion. It's gonna save you all probably a good bit of money not having to put that in yourself. I actually just got mine installed at home with my 2022 EUV. If you want to see a video of that installation process, definitely check this video above. I'll have it in the description and in the card. You don't want to miss that. It'll give you guys a lot of good information on how that process works. But again, here on the 2022 EV, you don't get that dual level charger by default, but you can add it on. But over here on 2021, it doesn't exist at all. So then taking a look at the backs of these vehicles here, you're really going to notice again some of those design differences. They have the same kind of little spoiler that comes off the top to keep stuff off your back windshield. They both have wipers. Again, you have the gold Chevy bow tie on 2021, whereas you have a blacked out Chevy bow tie on 2022. And the taillight design is significantly different between the two model years. I honestly think that I prefer the 2021's taillight design. They're a little bit more interesting. They kind of have this kind of swirly design on the inside of them. Now I understand the look and why Chevy kind of went with this on 2022. It kind of fits with their overall cleaning up and modernizing the design language here in 2022. So they're a little more subdued and they're kind of three-dimensional sculpted, which they're not bad looking. I definitely like the look of them. I just think I prefer 2021, even though they're a little bit more standard, just kind of encapsulated in this, you know, red plastic. But you can definitely see some kind of significant design changes here. This whole piece over on 2021, this whole back windshield is glass, like all the way down. It kind of just all blends right into the top of your window here. Whereas on 2022, it's a very distinct windshield right here, and then it cuts to a plastic piece right after that. So the glass runs down further over here on 2021. You have a rear vision camera as well. You have the button up underneath, manual liftgate on both of these model years, nothing changed there. But you do have the same kind of little scooped trunk design, and then the popped out bumper here on the bottom. Now, parking sensors on both of these models, which is nice. So the breakdown of the 2021 is you have braking lights up top here. You have braking lights integrated into the tail lights here, as well as a running light that is right up underneath here. And then you have your turn signals down here that are halogen turn signals. Over on 2022, you have brake light up here. You have brake lights down here as well at the bottom lip, integrated turn signals down here as well. And then these actual taillights themselves are simply running lights. You also have your reverse light right here on 2022. Now, like I said, you can see a couple other little accent differences. You have a silver strip that runs down the side of the 2021 here, whereas you just have black plastic cladding over on the 2022. Now, taking a peek under the lift gates here at the cargo capacity, again, these are both manual lift gates. You don't have the power option on bolts at all, which is a little bit unfortunate, but a cost-saving measure, I'm sure. But you have basically the same cargo capacity. You have the same removable cargo shade on both model years that has these little ties that hook it up to the back windshield here. But that's pretty much everything here on these tailgates. Let's go ahead and hop inside the 2021 cabin. Alrighty, so hopping inside the cabin of the 2021 here, there's a couple things I want you guys to keep in mind as we move between the two cabins. And I talked about this a little bit in my full review of the 2022. If you're interested, I'll have it linked above and in the description. There's just this overwhelming sense of like you are driving an electric vehicle. So they had a lot of like extreme accents, like this textured piece here with this little diamond design, kind of the two-tone with the accent stitching, the bright blue power button here. Just a lot of these features just scream electric vehicle, as well as this interface, which we'll take a look at here in just a second. But it's just this like different looking interface that Chevy didn't have on any other vehicles. And so it made you feel like you're driving an electric vehicle instead of just one of Chevy's vehicles that is also electric. So in 2022, as we'll take a look at in a second, they kind of stripped it all away, made it seem more familiar across the lineup. So just keep that in mind as you watch through this part of the video. But as far as design differences, let's take a look at some of these things. The first thing you'll notice is this steering wheel. This is the older style Chevy steering wheel here in 2021. Kind of these soft touch, kind of mushy buttons here. Heated steering wheel on the 1LT here, which is a nice touch. You have your lane keeping button, you have your voice assistant and your navigation buttons here that allow you to switch through that digital display. Now the digital display is a little bit different here on 2021 as well. It's still an 8-inch display, but just the graphics on it are a little bit different here on 2021 than they are over there in the 2022. So just keep that in mind as you're looking at the differences. Another main difference in 2021 is the placement of the regen button. It's actually right underneath the left side of the steering wheel grip here, whereas it's not significantly different, but over on 2021, it's kind of more in the middle here where like a paddle shifter would be. So really that's up to your all's preference. Light controls here, wiper controls here, stuff's exactly the same. So like I said, we're talking about visual differences here. Now you have the same 10.2-inch size screen here in 2021, but the one in 2022 has just been updated to have Chevy's most recent infotainment system, whereas the 2021 has kind of this hybrid of a Chevy system, but also with this kind of covering over it, or this kind of makeup put on it to make it look more like different and like EV-esque. So it's this like bright blue and green and all this different kind of rainbow colors and whatnot. It was just not something Chevy put on any other models, and it really made it stand out, in my opinion, not that great of a way. It still had all the same functionality and it was fine, it worked fine. It just doesn't look as good in my opinion as the clean design over in 2022, but you guys can obviously be the judge of that for yourself. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, it's actually wired here in 2021, where you get wireless over in 2022, which is nice. Bluetooth phone, photo gallery, blah, blah, blah. You have your climate controls as well. You do have heated seats here on this LT, which is kind of a nice feature to have. We'll talk about the seats in just a second. Physical controls here for your air conditioning as well, and your heat. And then you've got your sport mode button, your traction control button. And it's all on this little floating tray here with this piano black plastic, and then this glossy white texture that kind of goes around to the cabin. Again, kind of one of those standout design elements that you see. Same kind of textured diamond pattern as well. And then you have this big empty opening here with a little pocket that you could put a phone in. You have a 12-volt outlet. You have a little bit of storage down here. It really goes pretty far back. And then you have 2 cup holders, and then you have this shift area. Now, this is another thing that has been changed for 2022. We'll take a look at it over there, but you have a physical shift knob here in 2021. It's a weird, finicky design that I caught a lot of flack for commenting on my full 2022 EV review, but there's just something about it that isn't intuitive to me, and I'm pretty good at picking things up quickly. But the fact that you go up for neutral, left for reverse, down for drive, and down again for 1-pedal mode, and then a push button park is just not intuitive to me. It's not that I can't do it or I'm dumb or what, it doesn't make logical sense to me. Once you learn it, I'm sure it's no problem, but it's just like, why overcomplicate something that just doesn't have to be like that? You could even do the little, like, more of like a digital tapping to switch gears, but why not put park all the way at the top, or leave park as a button, then do reverse as 1 click, neutral as 2 clicks, and drive as 3 clicks, and then if you really wanted to, you know, 1 pedal is 5 clicks or whatever, or make 1 pedal the button. It just never made sense to me why they had to overcomplicate it like this. But that's no longer the case over in 2022, as we'll take a look at. Still the same electronic parking brake, although the little toggle looks a little different. 2 USB-A ports, a 3.5mm jack, little pocket here. Up underneath, you have this little tray that's removable as well. You do not have that on 2022. Up top, you have an auto-dimming rear view mirror here with these big, thick bezels. If you went up to the Premier, you would have gotten a rear view mirror camera, which you do not even have as an option over in 2022. So that was a kind of benefit of the 2021 model year. OnStar buttons, you have your standard kind of halogen dome lights up here. And then you have your display dimming controls on the left here, as well as your light toggle, which is exactly the same as it is on 2022. Now, as far as seating surfaces go, you have these 2-tone seats. Like I mentioned, they are a cloth seat. They are heated here on this specific LT. I think that's an option that we added on. You have this orange accent stitching, and again, they're 2-tone, so they have this sky gray and then this dark gray look right here. Kind of a really interesting look. Now, one of the things that changed from 2021 to 2022 is they redesigned the seats, apparently, because these seats are not comfortable at all. I'll just say that as bluntly as I can. And I will say this also as bluntly as I can, I'm not sure how much better they are in 2022. As somebody who owns a 2022 now and has been driving it for almost a month, I don't notice that much of a difference coming from somebody that has a lot of experience in these Bolts. So just something to keep in mind. You do have leather seats over there, and you can get leather seats on the Premier as well of the 2021. But as far as comfort, I'd say it's marginal at best. And then again, as far as cabin design goes, scratchy texture up top here, plastic on the A-pillar here, kind of a soft touch plastic up top here, piano black plastic, gloss white plastic, and then that kind of soft touch, kind of scratchy, textured white material. And then you have a lot of hard touch plastic on the bottom half of the interior here. Same on the door panels, just a standard kind of hard touch plastic with that little white textured accent, and then a little white satiny piece up underneath the door handle as well. And then that same kind of white satiny piece, and then piano black on the shift column, as well as a little chrome accent. One more little significant difference is just this power button here. It is a standard push to start, but you have this bright neon blue power button that they just didn't even mess with that over in the 2022. Speaking of that, let's jump over there. All right, so now inside the 2022 cabin, you'll start to notice what I'm talking about. You have this very, very relaxed and chill interior here. So updated Chevy steering wheel with their updated button placement. You no longer have those kind of mushy buttons. You have this kind of hybrid system with this little scroll wheels, as well as right and left buttons. Cruise control on the left side, and then your media controls and digital display controls on this side. You know, black Chevy bow tie versus the gold Chevy bow tie. That regen button placement has been moved, and it is up here kind of in a paddle shifter type of role. But just look at the material and design differences here. You still have a lot of piano black plastic, which is fine. I think it looks nice and modern. It's just kind of a fingerprint and dust magnet, which is a little bit unfortunate. You got rid of that glossy white piece and you just have a nice clean satin piece. And then you got rid of all of that textured white material and replaced it with this faux leather with this accent stitching or contrast stitching on the side here. And everything just looks a little bit more premium in my opinion. Now you can get kind of more of those funky, kind of diamondy, white accented pieces. You can still find that up on the Premier EUV. So they didn't entirely get rid of it, but even then I think it looks better than it does over on the EV from 2021, at least a little bit less gimmicky. As far as like other materials, like this is exactly the same. This textured scratchy bit up top is exactly the same. You do have kind of a soft touch leather material up top here now, as opposed to a hard touch plastic, but you do find that down up underneath all of the sides here. Leather pointed armrest here and leather seats, which we'll talk about in a second. But let's get back to this display here. So go ahead and push the updated push to start button here. None of that neon blue stuff anymore. We just have a normal Chevy or GM push to start. The display has been updated. It's definitely noticeably a tad higher resolution, and it's just got some updated design elements. So instead of having a big like white or gray circle in the middle, it's a dark circle with all your same kind of vehicle information and menu systems and things like that. Everything can basically be found on both of the different models. It's just a matter of the look of it being a little bit different. Also, speaking of more premium, they fixed the 10.2-inch display here and made it fit right in line with everything else that Chevy's doing. So if you hop in a Tahoe from 2021, it's gonna look exactly the same as hopping in this 2022 Bolt. You know what I mean? Like just some brand consistency across the board instead of making that Bolt stand out so much. So you've got your same, you know, Bluetooth phone, energy menu, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wireless, like I mentioned. You do have that HD rear camera now with your surround vision camera system. It's a noticeably higher resolution rear camera than you've got over on the 2021. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. A lot of the features are the same. It's just the design looks so much cleaner in my opinion. And they kind of made the whole like how the display sits a little different. It's not as much of like a little floating island like it was over in 2021. It's all kind of this cohesive unit now. You have the climate control buttons down here with these little toggle switches and buttons, which looks really nice in my opinion. You do have a wireless charging pad here on the EV. On the higher trim, it is standard on the EUV, so keep that in mind. As far as ports go, instead of having two USB-A ports, you have one USB-A port, one USB-C port, and a 12-volt outlet there, and a SD card slot. You don't actually have a 3.5mm jack anymore here on the 2022. Your button placement for these, traction control, lane keeping assist, and sport mode have also changed a little bit. They're right here with these big old buttons. You have this little pocket here that holds just about nothing. Then you have this shift-by-wire pad, completely replacing the physical shift knob that you had over on 2021. Now, it's still digital, just like it was over on 2021. It's just buttons and toggles now versus a little thing that you have to adjust. And it's all sequential, so it just goes parking, reverse, neutral, drive, one pedal, not parking button, reverse to the left, neutral one click down, drive two clicks, or neutral one click up, drive two clicks down. It's just so much simpler. Push for park, toggle for reverse, push for neutral, toggle for drive, button for one pedal, and your electronic parking brake, and that's it. Super simple. I love the redesign here. As far as seating surfaces go, you've got these leather appointed seats with a much subtler accent stitching. It's like kind of this gray color. It almost looks like it matches the exterior color, which I forgot to mention is ice blue metallic, and it is one of these 7 colors here for 2022. It's a brand new color. It's really nice. But you have these little perforations on the seat here for your heated seats. Now, if you go up to the Premier EUV, you will have ventilated seats as well, but no such thing here on the EV specifically. But these seats, I think, I talked about the seats a little bit in 2021, but I think the leather seats for 2022 feel significantly better than any of the seats over in 2021. The cloth ones, kind of feel the same, but leather, it feels a little bit more bolstered, and I like the feeling of these ones a lot more. Now, you do have power seats, like I mentioned. I think they're an 8-way power seat with a 2-way lumbar support. Over on the passenger, they're just a manually adjustable seat. Same rear view mirror here. It's an auto dimming rear view mirror. Now, like I said, over in 2021, if you had the Premier or the 2LT in that case, you would have had a rear view mirror camera, but no such option here on the EV. That is only available on the Premier EUV. So just your standard auto dimming rear view mirror like you have over there. Same halogen dome lights lights as well. Same OnStar buttons, same visors, same everything here, as well as same dimming switch over here and same lighting controls. The main takeaways here, guys, are just how different the cabin looks. And I think you'll notice it right off the bat. You guys are smart enough, but it's just so much cleaner, so much more reserved and calm. No rear vents here, but you do have a couple ports. You've got a single USB-A port and a single USB-C port in the back seat. No heated option here, but they do have the same design. You'll also notice that that center console area has been completely redesigned, so it's all connected now, whereas it was a little bit disconnected over on 2021. Since you have that shift-by-wire pad that takes up more space, that center pocket had to be kind of closed off. You still have it, but it's kind of covered, and then where you have your wireless charging pad and all that buttons and outlets and things like that has all been connected into the center of the console, which doesn't look bad at all, but it's definitely a little bit less open than it was over in 2021, but I still like the look of it a lot. A couple other significant notes about the 2022 is that it does not have access to GM's Super Cruise feature that is only available on the top trim level as an option on the EUV. It only comes standard on the launch edition of the EUV. So it is just straight up not an option on the EV. So if you want Super Cruise, you got to jump up to that larger EUV. Another thing that is a little bit more positive than that is that the starting price of the Bolt EV has dropped by $5,500. Now, a lot of that is to kind of compensate for the fact that GM is no longer eligible for the tax incentive, the $7,500 tax break on electric vehicles. That may change here in the future, who knows? But to kind of combat that, they did drop the starting price by about $5,500, which is always great for the consumer. So this 2LT starts at $35,000. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Drop a like on the video if you loved it. Tell me in the comments down below, which do you prefer? Are you a 2021 fan, or do you like the updated redesign of 2022? Let's have a conversation down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.